The only way I can tell whether a car is good or not is by my times.
Is this a general attitude in drivers, and most of them just...
Well, I would say 50% of the drivers have a lot of mechanical knowledge, and the other 50%, of which I am one, have no mechanical knowledge. If I wish to terrify the mechanics, I walk towards the car with a screwdriver. And to me, cars aren't the interesting part about automobile racing. The interesting part about automobile racing is to be able to go faster than somebody else.
You've been involved in many other sports, in bobsledding and horse racing, jumping. Have you found that any of the lessons perhaps that you've learned in these sports, or any of the techniques you've learned in these sports, have applied in any way to sports car driving?
Well, I believe, and I firmly believe this, that riding horses helps one in many sports because it gives you a sensitivity that otherwise maybe you wouldn't acquire. And I know Sterling Moss has ridden a lot, Peter Collins has ridden a lot. And automobile racing, in my opinion, is purely a matter of sensitivity. Every curve has a theoretical maximum speed, and the ambition of a racing driver is to go around that curve as close to the maximum speed as he can without going over it. So it becomes a matter of sensitivity.
Is there a very marked point at which you can feel a car is out of control, or do you have this feeling?
You know it. The second the car is out of control, you're all too aware of it.
I understood a couple of years ago the Lancias were noted for behaving beautifully, but once they did let go, they just literally flew off the road like projectiles.
Well, most drivers dislike a car that doesn't warn you. Some cars will break loose and they won't warn you, but a Ferrari gives you a lot of warning. You know when it's going to happen, and often you can correct it just before it happens. Because once the car has started to go, there's nothing you can do. I have a theory. I just keep my foot on the brake, but some drivers don't. On the grounds that it's going to stop a little bit sooner than it would otherwise. Because the spin is nothing, and in America most of the circuits are in airports, so it's flat and there's nothing to hit. The danger when you spin is when you hit something. Then the car will turn over and then you're in trouble.
Is there any sort of average or that causes most accidents? I mean, is there any single factor that's responsible?
Yes, the drivers overdoing it. Mechanically, no. I would say it's very rare that the same mechanical failure occurs twice. But all you need is, a couple of drops of oil in a corner and you can have 10 accidents within 10 seconds. And it's nobody's fault.
Do you think certain kinds of drivers are particularly suited to certain kinds of cars?
No, I think if a man is a good driver, he can adapt himself to any car. At least I hope so. Well, I think if a man is going to become a good driver, he can drive a Ferrari at the start. Maybe not a 5-liter, but he can certainly drive a 2-liter Ferrari at the start. All you must have is respect for the car. I have enormous respect for the Grand Prix Ferrari. And I realize that if I treat it badly, it can very easily kill me. But I have a lot of respect for it. And you must get to the point to which I haven't got in Grand Prix cars, but I have in sports cars, in which when I'm driving a sports car, I feel as if I'm part of the car. And I feel that in a corner, when I swing the car around the corner, that it's part of me. I don't have that feeling yet in a Grand Prix car. I hope I will get it very soon.
Can you remember your sensations the first time you ever drove a Ferrari?
Yes, I remember starting off, and I had both hands on the steering wheel, and I wanted to put it in the second gear, and I think I went off the road to put it in the second gear.
What's your favorite race of all the races?
I think my favorite circuit is Nürburgring in Germany. It's a 14-mile course and it has 183 turns or corners. and it has a straight of 4 miles, 4 kilometers rather. And no, that's definitely my favorite circuit.
That's only for sports cars, isn't it?
No, they have sports cars and the Grand Prix of Germany there every year.
But besides yourself, who do you think on the horizon at the moment?
I don't think anybody can compare with Fangio, now or in the past. I think the only way anybody will be world champion in the next few years is if Fangio retires. Fangio is definitely the best. Moss is equally definitely the second best. Third, you have Peter Collins. And fourth, you have about 4 drivers. You have 5 drivers. You have Berra, Castellotti, Musso, Charles, and myself. And we're all about the same.
When you first started to drive, were you aware of a gigantic gulf between their conception of driving and yours, or you just look around and say, I understand, as soon as I learn the methods, I'll be there too?
No, I realized there was a gigantic gulf. Well, the first year I drove, I used to take a lot of chances. I used to go too fast. I didn't know what I was going, and I'd usually go off the road. I think the first year I drove, I went off the road practically in every race I drove in. But I always know why I went off the road.
That's the big difference.
But I still have a terrific complex about Fangio, or even Moss. You know, if I see Fangio and Moss in front of me, well, Fangio and Moss. Maybe I could pass them, but I couldn't stay in front of them for 4 or 5 laps without going off the road. It's very easy, well, it's not very easy, but it's perfectly feasible for me to follow Fangio and Moss, because then I just do exactly what they do. But if I had to go in front of them and set the example, so to speak, well, it's very easy for me to go around a corner half a mile an hour too fast, or to brake 10 yards too late, then I'm in trouble.
In this country, since the war, there's been a lot of focus on so-called styles. The Italian style, which most Americans think of as simply driving with the arms extended. Is there any recognizable style of driving that's peculiar to national groups? I mean, do Moss and Hawthorne drive in any way alike?
No, every driver has a different style of his own, and it depends a lot on the car you're driving, because some cars have narrower seats than others, some cars have less leg room, and in the new Maserati Grand Prix car, in fact, you're sitting at an angle, you're not even sitting straight forward, they're sitting at a slight angle. I think Fangio has the most relaxed style, Fangio must have the most relaxed style, and Hawthorne has the least relaxed style. Hawthorne always has an expression of a man who's fighting on his face. Peter Collins is always making faces at the crowd, not deliberately, but I have yet to see a picture of Peter in which he isn't making some kind of a face. Harry Shaw always wears any attractive women, you see.
How the hell can they see him at those?
Oh, it's amazing. You go around, you have to do say 80 laps on a circuit, you notice anybody who stands out a bit from the crowd.
Another question that's been running around my mind is, are you interested in cars?
Not at all.
Not at all.
To me, they're either a means of transportation from point A to point B, or a racing car. And as I've always said, the best car in the world, in my opinion, is American Ford. Nothing can come close to it. But you know, it's true that if a man can afford to have one car and he has a family, what better purchase can you make than to buy a Ford?
But only you can say that. Because the American in our position is thinking of it as a family. Which sports car has the biggest back seat? Exactly reversed.
Yes, but you know, you buy a Ford, you don't have to change the spark plugs to look at the engine or anything. You just leave the hood down and then you keep it a year and you sell it and get a new one. And then you lose about $200 and you have no bother, no expenses. But if you buy even a Jaguar, which is pretty solid, you're always changing the spark plugs, putting in oil, special oil. God knows you spend...
That's the romance. The great light shining in the wilderness. Do you think there's any particular type of man? I mean, leaving aside the obvious courage and good sense, stuff like that.
Look, I don't think courage is a requirement. I think a lack of fear is a requirement. And I think the man who wants to become an automobile driver has to have at least the spirit of an adventurer, because there's very little security in it. And he doesn't know if he's going to live, he doesn't know if he's going to be a success, he doesn't know if he's going to lose an arm or a leg. And you have far more disappointments in automobile racing than you do triumphs. Very hard business. Nobody has any sympathy for the driver who goes off the road. You expect it, but you don't get it. Everybody thinks of you as an idiot.
Well, how about, this would imply that the secondary names that we read about constantly probably aren't making a very good living.
Well, once you've got a name, in Europe you can make a reasonable living just with the starting money you get. And Rosier, who has just died, was never a fast driver, but he was a rich man, I believe. But I know he made a lot of money racing, because he would get good starting money every time. And Rosier was one of the nicest drivers there were. I would never have won the Tour de France last year without Rosier. The Tour de France, as you know, is a rally which lasts for 7 days. And each day you have a race, or 2 races on different circuits all over France. And I started off without even a map in my car. So I knew that Rosier was in the car in front of me. So all I did was follow Rosier for 7 days. It kept me from getting lost. Well, half an hour before the race where he got killed, where he got injured, and he died later, he asked me to drive his car, and I said, all right. And then 5 minutes before the race, he said, I feel better, I'll do it myself. And Rosier never took a chance. We did 200 units, 10 of them.
Conception, there may be a misconception in the fans anyway, that there's an ironclad, unwritten law about discussing accidents, injury, and so forth. Is this true?
We discuss them constantly.
That's what I thought.
But a driver usually gets killed on a Sunday. And if he's a close friend of yours, well, you think what a stupid sport this is, and you think seriously of giving it up. But on Monday you think, well, maybe he was just unlucky, maybe I shouldn't give it up yet, I'll give it up next year. So on the Tuesday you start thinking about, no, well, there's a race next Sunday, maybe I'll go. So on the Wednesday you go to the race. But it's ridiculous. It's like, if you remember that in England they have an air show every year called Farnborough. Well, 3 years ago a plane exploded over the crowd at Farnborough and killed 57 people. Well, is that a reason to stop all air shows? It's just an extremely unfortunate occurrence. What are you going to do about it?
How that happened at Sebring and at the end of Sebring?
Well, I think you hit on the reason, the difference between the two, Paul, in that in Europe, well, let's say in America, it's much more important, much more publicized that a man kills himself driving a racing car than if he throws himself out of the 50th story window because he doesn't like his job. Whereas in Europe, they're concentrating on the enjoyment he gets out of doing a thing. Let's not even say enjoyment, the satisfaction for doing a job well, which I'm sure you're aware of in winning a race. It may be completely without sentiment, without emotion, but the satisfaction is there.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Did you have any sense of sort of inevitability when a car was killed? And it seemed to you to be in the cards, or just a horrible mistake?
No, it was, I thought, what a bull, what a nice chap he was.
There was a lot of writing over here at the time about how, what a weird sort of feeling about it, because the previous week he'd done the same damn thing. Very strange.
It takes a very minor nut on your car to fall off. What are you going to do? But if you think about it, there's no point in racing, it's better not to race. But usually the first sign you see of an accident is either the ambulance on the track or the crash car itself. And we always know who was in the car because we can remember the number or the color of the car. We always have some clue as to who it was. And if it's a friend of the driver, well, the pit will usually give you a signal saying he's all right, if he's all right. and otherwise they just won't say anything. So, you know, as soon as the race is over, you ask how it's so and so, and then you hear. But I have a rule: I will never go see somebody who's been killed. I unfortunately went with Muzi, the Swiss driver's wife, in the ambulance. She was a Spanish girl, and she didn't speak very much French. And, well, I'm Spanish, so I went with her in the ambulance to see Muzi. And, you know, his brain was over there, his head was over there. So,
One like that is enough.
yeah. So I won't go. I won't even go and see people in the hospital.
Well, it's strictly a matter, it's a calculated risk, that's all. Isn't it?
You know. Well, every driver believes it can never happen to him. I know that it won't happen to me. Inside me, I know it won't happen to me. I think all drivers feel that way.